spoke about Latisha is right after she was arrested not too long ago, after she allegedly stole almost $8,000 from someone who came to do their taxes through her. And they came and they hadn't done their taxes in a few years. So Latisha was like, yeah, you owe over $7,000. All you have to do is pay me. I'll take care of it and your taxes will be all good. And then Latisha got the money. Instead of taking care of the taxes, she put it right in her pocket and screwed the client, and now they owe all this money for their taxes plus all the interest they've. Since Latisha's arrest, it seems like she's been going through it. I got a tip from Colleen, the girl that Latisha stole $10K from through her business, allegedly. And she told me that she found out that Latisha had allegedly got her house raided. And Latisha got evicted from her home recently, and she's been evicted from multiple businesses throughout the past year because she will get into one location, not pay rent, they'll kick her out. Latisha was evicted from her home she was living in last year after there was some confusion over whether or not she bought the house or if it was a rent-to-own situation. And Latisha and the landlord ended up working something out and settling outside of court. Then late last year, Latisha was on social media bragging about how she was about to buy this 5-bedroom home that was like over $800,000. And a lot of people are like, okay, if she can't pay rent in her business location and has all these lawsuits coming in from scamming people, then how is she going to pay for this home? The house was pending for months, which is a lot longer than a house is typically pending for. Usually someone puts in an offer, it's pending, then they sign all the, closing paperwork, they get an inspection, and then after that, usually within weeks, they figure out if that person's going to get in there or not. But I'm thinking what happened, this is just pure speculation. She probably put in an offer and she probably didn't have the finances to back that up. So it ended up falling through and she ended up finding a home elsewhere. And now the landlord has filed a notice to quit on April 11th, according to Storycasm, saying that she failed to pay rent and she also had a lease violation. The landlord claimed that she had a dog that was not on the lease. 5 days later, Latisha filed a motion to dismiss through a message that she typed up. So Latisha says that she was never served any court paperwork, and she said, I just found out about this court date after the fact. My landlord decided to finally contact me and send me the paperwork for a continuance. And she shared some different examples or like exhibits to be used to try to back up her motion to dismiss. And she said the landlord and her husband are slumlords, and it came to the point where I had to call the city on them and the Civil Rights Commission. And then she says, I've been working with Michelle Westerfield with the City of Davenport Code Enforcement on numerous occasions to get the landlords to cooperate. However, they make excuses and refuse to cooperate. They have refused to accept rent through me after multiple documented attempts or through their hired property manager, who they are wishy-washy with. Latisha claims the landlord served her an invalid 3-day notice over 2 months ago, and she says the notice has an inaccurate rent amount and inaccurate lease violations, and the rent in question was agreed between me and the property manager to be paid out of my pockets to pay for the sewer damage in the basement. So she claims the landlord and her husband and someone else have not paid their mortgage in November 2022, and she said they fraudulently allowed me to sign a lease in December 2023 without disclosing that the house was in foreclosure since August 2023, taking $5,000 from me. And I found out about the foreclosure 2 months later when a sheriff came to serve papers to the plaintiffs. If it wasn't for the sheriff, I would not have known about the sheriff's sale. And she said the house sells at an auction on April 23rd. It is not subject to redemption. I've been in touch with legal counsel. I filed a $350,000 lawsuit against the plaintiffs for their fraudulent activities with this home, slumlord issues, and pain and suffering without having a direct contact to pay rent. Latisha's motion to dismiss was thrown out, and it didn't convince the judge at all, and he ended up doing a forced entry and detainer hearing on April 23rd, and he ruled in the landlord's favor. So Latisha had to get kicked out of the property, and she has to pay the landlord's legal expenses, and all the cost occurred on the writ of possession. So according to the court document that Sarcasm got a hold of, it says that the defendant needs to be removed from the premises no later than April 30th at 12 o'clock. So she has been out of that house for almost 3 weeks now, 2-3 weeks. And 2 days after the judge's order was issued, there was docket entries for documentation that were text messages that were submitted by the landlord of conversations between Latisha and the landlord, where she was pretty much saying, oh, I'm not going to pay the rent because there's damage to my basement. But the landlord sounded like from the text that he was not willing to fix the damage because Latisha had not paid any rent since she had moved in. And pretty much the landlord was like, unless you're going to pay all this money that you owe for these months that have been adding up, then I don't want to hear from you. If Latisha was paying rent and the landlord was refusing to fix it, then I would, by all means, call them a slumlord. But if she's not going to pay rent or not pay a dime for months and expect them to fix something, I can understand where they're coming from. Because if you're not going to pay anything for your spot, then why should the landlord have to pay anything too? Especially when they could just get you out, then fix it up and get ready for the next person. And I understand why they didn't want to take partial rent payments from Latisha, because she could have used that in court, and it would have gave her a higher chance of being able to stay because she would be able to show that she was at least making an effort. But regardless of what Latisha is saying, the judge says, according to his evidence, that Latisha is not being truthful, and he believes that the landlord is right. And the landlord was going off on Latisha, calling her a scammer. She just needs to get out. And the landlord was telling her for months, look, you're not going to pay, just get out. And Latisha just continued to make excuses and refused to leave. And the judge ordered in the landlord's favor, and he's not buying anything that Latisha has to say. And she also had in the contract when she got that house that she has the right to film there, and they give her permission. So I'm very curious, since she is coming back for Love After Lockup, if the camera crew's been there this past month, like when she got arrested and when she's dealing with this bankruptcy case getting thrown out and getting accused of bankruptcy fraud and all this, because she's been dealing with a lot between this eviction, her business's eviction, but at the end of the day, Latisha really has nobody to blame but herself. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.